Do you want to stay more focused on the right goals in your life, or even just figure out what the right goals are for you? Do you want clarity? Do you want better work-life balance? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Success Through Failure.
Welcome to the Success Through Failure podcast, the show that reveals failure as your path to success. You'll listen to intriguing interviews with some of the most successful people on the planet and learn how their failures became a launchpad for success and how yours can too. Here's your host, former Division I All-American wrestler, former Division I head coach, speaker, and personal coach, Jim Harshaw.
Welcome to another episode of Success Through Failure. This is your host, Jim Harshaw, bringing you another solo episode today. And first, I want to thank you for putting up with the last two episodes. I didn't realize that my microphone had gone out, at least on one of those, and then the other one I knew it had gone out, and I just had to record it anyway because I had to get one out to you guys. I wanted to get one out to you guys. So thanks for putting up with those. I got my microphone back. It was under warranty, so they fixed it for me, and here we are back with my professional mic. And it's been a couple busy weeks for me here lately. Actually, this week I gave two talks. Pretty excited about those because those have both led to opportunities to speak at much larger events. Sorry, a little background noise there. That's a faux pas when you're a podcast host. I had my alarm on my phone went off. So, but pretty excited about these events because they've led to much larger speaking opportunities and get to speak to bigger groups. And of course, that means they can afford to pay a little better as well. So pretty excited about where those are going. And what else? My goodness, we're going camping. Got a camping trip scheduled. This is my self-goal. One of my self-goals for this year is to go camping with the family. And got a place reserved, got a camping site reserved, tent site right on this beautiful Shenandoah River. And actually me and my boys and my oldest daughter are going to float the river. And my wife and my youngest daughter are going to meet us at the campsite. And we're just going to float for probably 4 or 5 hours and fish and splash around in the water and just have a grand old time floating down the river, and then meet up with my wife and youngest daughter, camp out overnight on the river's edge, and pack it up and head home. So anyway, can't wait to do that. Just that's where my heart lives, is out there in the woods, in the wild, on the water. And so anyway, got that planned. That's one of my goals for the year. But anyway, about these talks, actually, I want to go back to those real quick. I gave away several of my Productive Pause cards, and I have these business cards on the back. I have actually two different kinds of business cards. One where it has a list of four, where you can put 4 places to write your goals, and the other card I have has 6 different Productive Pause questions listed on the back. And actually, if you want to get access to all my favorite Productive Pause questions, you can go to jimharshawjr.com/action, and you can get a list of all of the Productive Pause, my favorite Productive Pause questions. There's just a link to a PDF once you get in there. But one of my favorites is, and by the way, so if you are a newbie, haven't been listening for a long time, what is a productive pause? A productive pause is this: if there's a secret to success, it's the productive pause. It's the opposite of doing. So what I've learned over the years is that success doesn't come from doing, right? If you're in sales, it doesn't come from making the sales calls. If you're a writer, it doesn't come from the writing. If you're an athlete, it doesn't come from the training. It actually is, there's one thing in common that all these successful people have, and it's they hit the pause button on a regular basis. They get off the treadmill of life and they stop doing just for the sake of doing, and they actually identify what it is they need to do and what are the challenges to getting that done. How do they reduce friction? How do they reduce that resistance to getting the right things done? And then they go, right, and then they make the sales call or do sales calls, do the writing, or train as an athlete, etc. So the definition of a productive pause is this: it's a short period of focused reflection around specific questions that leads to clarity of action and peace of mind. And that's what we're all looking for, is clarity of action and peace of mind. So anyway, I've gave away a handful of these Productive Pause cards, and you can get all my favorite Productive Pause questions that can guide you in a thinking session or journaling session or a self-coaching session by just going to jimharshawjr.com/action. You can also get the action plan from this episode there. as well as action plans from every episode. Can you believe it? Almost 200 episodes of action plans right there, all for your taking. These are the cliff notes, the spark notes for all the episodes. I mean, holy criminy, there's so much good stuff in there. But one of my favorite productive pause questions, I guess I've heard this from Tim Ferriss maybe before, and I think maybe he heard it from Peter Diamandis. And it's this: if you wanted to achieve your 10-year goals in 6 months, how would you do it? Like if you had to, right? If you had to entertain that question, if I want to achieve my 10-year goals in 6 months, how would I do it? And maybe you say, well, I don't have my 10-year goals. Maybe it's more of like a 5-year goal, right? Okay, well, how do you achieve your 5-year goals in 6 months or 3 months or 1 year, right? Whatever that number is, right? How do you compress that time frame to make this happen? And this is actually something that I proposed to my Reveal Your Path Pro groups. I have 3 different groups going right now. These are graduates, alumni of Reveal Your Path Pro. And once we kind of get a critical mass, I offer out the opportunity to put a group together, and then we stick together and kind of have these monthly calls. And I proposed this to all these folks, and man, did I get some great feedback. And I want to share 12 different things that came up. These are sort of common themes that came up from all these high-achieving folks who are willing to invest in themselves and to sign up for a program like Reveal Your Path. And then actually stick to it long term. And this is some of the stuff that came out of there. So I'm going to share with you 12 things. And if you have questions about Reveal Your Path or about Reveal Your Path Pro, let me know. You can just, we can schedule a call. Just go to jimharshawjr.com/apply, and you can grab a short time slot on my calendar. We can talk about this a little bit. It's not a sales call, just an opportunity to learn more. So, all right, so here it is. I'm going to start with 1 through 12. Here we go, baby. And if you don't have time to write these down, you can always grab the action plan. But here we go. Number 1, this came up. This was a really, really cool one that one of the guys brought up. He said, you can't conform to the current system or thinking. You can't conform to the current system or thinking. You have to break the mold. You have to rethink it. You have to reconfigure. You have to find a different way than what's currently being done, right? So if your 10-year goal is to, I don't know, maybe it's to buy a house, or maybe it's to make $1 million, whatever that is. How do you shrink that down to 6 months? Well, guess what? You're going to have to change the way you typically go about things, right? You're going to have to break the mold and rethink how you do things. You can't go about it the same way as everybody else, right? Because you're trying to get different results. You're trying to get different results from everybody else. So in order to get different results from everybody else, you have to do things a little bit differently. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, you have to assume that others will think you're crazy. Assume that others are going to think you're crazy. Guess what? Because it is, right? If you're trying to achieve 10-year goals in 6 months, it's big thinkers who do this. They're wired differently. I was so proud a few years ago when one of my friends told me, man, you're just wired a little bit differently. I'm like, yep, I am, right? And you have to get over this, right? Get over what other people are thinking of you. Assume that they're going to think you're crazy. That's fine, because you're going to have to do things a little bit differently. You're going to have to wake up earlier, stay later, go about life differently. Don't just get over it, actually. Embrace it. Embrace it. Be proud that you're wired differently. Be proud that people think you're a little crazy, because guess who else is crazy? Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and Richard Branson, right? These big thinkers who have achieved huge things and just changed the world. Like, they're crazy. They're different. They're not just like the average person walking down the street. Okay? They're wired a little differently. So embrace that. All right, number 3, find others who are doing it. You don't have to solve this yourself. Now, there's not going to be a lot of other people doing it. You're going to have to maybe turn over some rocks, but find other people who are doing it. Maybe they did it the conventional way, and sit them down and say, hey, listen, if I wanted to do what you did, and I want to really compress the time frame, I know it took you 10 years. I know it took you 20 years. I know it took you 5 years. If you were me You were starting all over. And what would you wish you knew? Right? Find others who are doing what you want to do. All right, next one. Find your one thing. Find your one thing, right? What is that lead domino? What is that? And that's a Tim Ferriss thing. I think that's where I heard that. Anyway, I'm not sure. He might have gotten it from somewhere else too. But lead domino, right? What's that one thing? If you can do that, right? If you can knock that lead domino down, it makes everything else easier, right? Maybe it's getting venture capital funding or angel capital for this business idea you have, right? Maybe you're tinkering around, trying to make prototypes and just kind of, half-assing things. Maybe you got to get some capital, right? What's that lead dominant? Maybe it's you got to sit down and have a conversation with your spouse, right? And that's the lead domino. If you can get that conversation, just have that powerful, deep conversation that you need to have. What's that one thing? Find your one thing. Maybe that one thing is, I got to make 100 phone calls, like taking massive action, right? What's the one thing? Massive action, right? I'm going to make 100 phone calls in a week. I'm going to make 100 phone calls in a day, right? You can't do that. Well, guess what? You might just have to. I used to work for a sales company, and the goal was 25 calls a day. And that was the metric. That was the benchmark. You had to make 25 calls a day. And not everybody got there every day, but I was like, my goal, I'm going to set mine at 40. And I got there almost every day. I didn't always get there. But you got to take massive action. And I was crushing it, right? But you got to take massive action. You got to have that one. What's that one thing that you can do? Lead domino. All right, next one, number 5. Get in front of people. Networking. Get out there, talk to people. Man, I always go back to this. I'm sure you've heard me say this if you listen to, quite a, 8 or 10 or 15 of my podcasts. I've probably said this a few times, but this one guy who I coach, he said, man, magic just happens when I connect with people. I actually got another client who literally the first week that we started working together, he just had this awesome breakthrough. And it was, probably worth the price of the entire program for him. But it happened in the first week. It was just scratching the surface. But we got him out and got him connected with people, and he connecting with the right people. And he came back to me the next week. He's like, man, I just feel energized and inspired. And a big part of that was just getting out of the office and reconnecting with people who are in his industry or influencers, or can help him, or he can help them. People we can learn from. Get out from behind your desk and get to meeting people. Get in front of people. Magic just happens. You're going to learn something. They're going to refer a website that you should check, or a book, or listen to this podcast episode, or they're going to connect you with somebody else, or they're going to say, hey, there's this opportunity and that you didn't otherwise know about and would not have otherwise known about. It's just magical. I swear, like every time you get out and network and meet somebody, something good comes of it. All right, that's the next one. So number 6, create urgency. Create urgency. What if your life depended on it? Like, what if your life actually depended on this? Or what if your family's life depended on it? What if? Could you get it done? There's this thing called instant negative feedback. A lot of times the feedback we get, especially on trying to achieve these big goals, a lot of times the feedback we get is like, okay, it's just going to take longer than I expected. And it kind of never happens, right? You never make that progress that you need to make. But what if you had instant negative feedback? Here's an example of instant negative feedback. If I smoke a cigarette, if I start smoking cigarettes today, start smoking a couple packs a day, I don't get lung cancer for years, decades, right? What if I got lung cancer? What if smokers got lung cancer in like 10 minutes after you smoke a cigarette? That's instant negative feedback. Nobody would smoke anymore. It'd be done. It'd be eradicated. Here's another way to do it. Write yourself a check or put cash into an envelope and seal the envelope. Address it to some organization that you absolutely hate, you can't stand. And if you don't follow through and execute on a certain step, right? Maybe it's a monthly sort of goal that you have, a micro goal, you got to mail that check. You got to mail that cash to that organization, right? That's urgency, man. You got to snap to it. You got to take action, right? So that's number 6. All right, number 7. Leverage systems. Leverage systems. Don't be operating just by the seat of your pants constantly. Think about automation. Think about systems. Think about systems you can put in place that make it easier for you to get things done, right? You can document those systems. You can have them written down, whether it's on a Google Doc or handwritten. You can use your phone. I'm a big fan of using my phone and for reminders, right? A little system that I'm working on with one of my clients. Another one is really helping him put himself in a grateful mindset, in a loving, caring mindset every day, so he can really improve his relationships at his workplace. And just a really successful dude. And man, once we started putting this system in place, it's really helped him. And just setting a reminder every day to do some journaling, do some reflection, looking back at productive pause questions. Anyway, leverage systems so you don't have to memorize everything and recreate the wheel every time, right? All right, that's number 7. Number 8, hire, delegate, outsource. Don't do it yourself. This kind of piggybacks off of number 7, leveraging systems. So number 8 is hire, delegate, outsource. Go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. You will be blown away by the types of things that you can get done for $5 or $10 or $20 on Fiverr by people from all over the world who can do some really cool things for you. Upwork.com. I use Upwork a ton. You can find great people, and you can track their work. There's like a work diary, and it shows a video of their screen when they're doing work for you. You don't have to do everything. When you outsource, a lot of times you can leverage, if you're in the United States, you can leverage the strength of the dollar to get more work done. So think about, creating systems and then hire somebody to work those for you, right? That allows you to work on higher level tasks. All right, number 9, learn the skills that you need. What are the skills that you need? Learn what they are. What are your weaknesses? I got a guy right now. He's actually a successful businessman. This is yet another one of my clients. He's a very successful businessman. And he's kind of gotten through to this point. He's an entrepreneur without really having just a strong background in finance, right? And understanding just how to read all, different financial documents and whatnot. And he's good enough at it. But he knows, to get to the next level, he needs to improve. That's one of his weaknesses, and he's working on that, right? And so identify your weaknesses and then make a plan to work on those. And working on those might be hiring somebody else to do it for you, right? Hire so somebody else can do it, or learn what you need to learn. Take a class. Go to lynda.com, 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 and purchase a course, right? Shoot, go to YouTube. There's probably a ton of great stuff on there for whatever skill it is that you need to learn, improve on. It's amazing how much information's out there. Listen, it's not information that's holding you back. What it comes down to at the end of the day, it's not information. It's your mindset. It's you, right? Executing on the things that you need to do. And one of those things you need to do is get information. That's one of many things, but I'm giving you a bunch here. But you've got to learn those skills. Learn the skills that you need to improve upon. All right, number 10. That's number 9. Here we go. Number 10. A couple book recommendations that came out of my conversations with my mastermind groups. One was Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. I have not read it, so I can't recommend it that well. But man, a bunch of guys are all of a sudden reading it, and they love it. So Multipliers, that's a good one. And then Expert Secrets. I recommend that one all the time. Russell Brunson, I actually interviewed Russell episode 50, way back when. Episode 50, jimharshawjr.com/50, episode 50. So if you're looking for any of my past episodes, by the way, especially iTunes only keeps 100 of your episodes on there. So you can only scroll back 100 episodes from where you're at now. And so 50 is obviously way back, much further than 100 episodes back. So you can just go to my website if it's episode 50, jimharshawjr.com/50. at 50. So it's Russell Brunson, Expert Secrets, just a really powerful book to help you just think about. This is more around business and monetizing your own personal skill sets. All right, so that's one. All right, number 11. Here we go. You're not going to like this one. Sorry. Here we go. Identify your fears. Because what you want, that 10-year goal, that long-term goal that's out there, you want to crush it and get there sooner? Guess what? You're scared. There's something that you fear. I've got them. There's something you fear holding you back. Are you afraid of picking up the phone? Are you afraid of what your boss or your parents might say? Are you afraid you'll fail? Like Michael Jordan and Abraham Lincoln and Steve Jobs? Join the club, right? Pretty good club to be in. Like, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? There's something you're like, no, I'm just not ready to, maybe it's subconscious. I'm not ready to do that. I've got that, right? I think about my program and how I know that it could help so many people, right? I know it because I get all these amazing, amazing testimonials from these amazing people. And I know I can just take it to a higher level. I should be working with, just people who desperately need it, like military veterans and NFL, retiring NFL players, et cetera. And sometimes I get, I know some people who I can call around that. And I've actually kind of taken those action steps and then didn't really go anywhere. And I just put them on the back burner. But like, as I'm saying this to you right now, I'm calling myself out. You got to make those calls, Jim. But identify your own fears. What are your fears? All right, here's the last one. You're not going to like this one either. Fail. Try something, fail. Fall flat on your face. Guess what? I told you the club you're in. Michael Jordan, Abraham Lincoln, Steve Jobs, on and on and on. Like all the failures out there. Like that's how you get to success. I saw this great graphic the other day. It had a picture of a road forking, and one fork was success and one was failure. And it said, this is what most people think failure is. And then there was another graphic right beside it. It said, the truth about what failure is. And it had one road zigzagging back and forth. And on that zigzag was fail, 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 fail 4 times. And at the end, it was success. Right? So that's the idea. It's like, it's not like you either succeed or you fail. It's that you fail and then you fail and then you fail and then you succeed. Like that's how it works. There's no other way about it. If you're afraid to try something because you're afraid it's going to fail, that's okay. I mean, go for it. Go fail. Because guess what? When you're done failing, you're going to be more educated than you were when you started. So you try it again, you're going to be better at it. You're going to have new information. You're going to be better skilled. Or you're going to try a different path. That's the only way it works. It's the only way it works. Try the first step and fail at it. Go for it. Figure out what that thing is that you're afraid of and go fail at it. So number 12 is fail. So those are awesome, a dozen awesome things that my clients in my mastermind groups came up with and we talked about. And man, if you want to be part of these, it will change your life. So if you do want to have that call, just give me a ring or grab a time on my calendar, jimharshawjr.com/apply. And you can grab a time there. So time is limited. I don't have a whole lot of slots on there, but if you do want to talk about that, definitely let's do it. Otherwise, pick one of these. You don't have to do 12 of these. You'll get overwhelmed. You just get overwhelmed and quit. Pick one. Then pick a second one. And just do those. Right? Identify that one thing. Number 4 is, find your one thing. What is that one thing for you? Hit pause and then do some thinking around that. Or number 8, hire, delegate, outsource. Go to Fiverr.com. Go to Upwork.com. What's the one thing you don't know how to do? Okay, Jim, I want to start a podcast. Well, I don't know how to do it. Well, go to Upwork and find someone who can help you do it. Right? So think about one of these things. Think about 2 of these things and then start taking action on it. So I look forward to you taking action. I look forward to hearing from you. If you got anything out of this podcast, please give it a share. If you think you know somebody else out there who might benefit from it, just tell them. Just send them the link to it and tell them to check out episode number 197, jimharshawjr.com/197. tell them to check it out. Go on Twitter, go on Facebook and share it if you could. And I love hearing your feedback. So if you have anything you want to hear that we haven't covered yet on this podcast, certainly let me know. I love hearing from you. I love hearing from people. If you just want to give me a shout out and say you like it, or if you want to give me a shout out and say it's terrible, that's fine too. So I look forward to hearing from you. And as always, actually, before I say that, make sure you grab your copy of the action plan. Go to jimharshawjr.com/action. And as always, until next time, take the time to get clear on your goals and embrace failure as a stepping stone on your path to success.